Welcome back to Getting Past the Premium, everybody. This is going to be a fun episode, a little bit different than we've had in the past. I've got my friend Angus Nelson, who's in a couple coaching groups with me. We've got to know each other, and I think the conversation today is going to be really beneficial for you as you're thinking about your career, where you want to go, and how you can evolve and improve in your career. So, Angus, I'm really excited. You're coming to us from Portugal as well, which I just learned. So I
Yeah.
definitely want you to tell everybody your background a little bit here.
Oh, I'll give you the nutshell. I am from Nashville, Tennessee last. We moved here 2.5 years ago, wanted to give our kids an international experience. And we had to deal with, a lot of like giving up what we knew back in the States and to take on something completely new, something different, learn a new language, new culture. And it's been an amazing adventure for our kids. They're currently our two youngest are 14 and 15. We also have a 29-year-old daughter who's visiting us right now for the holidays, but she just filed for her visa. And so fingers crossed, she should be here within the next 2.5 months or so. And then we'll have the whole family here. We've already recruited my wife's sister and her family as well. So we're playing a little bit of evangelist for Portugal because of the quality of life and just it's a cool place. Behind that, my background was in innovation, and I started an innovation association called Crowd Companies around the peer-to-peer space, working with Fortune 500 brands. My clients were everything from Ford Motor Companies, Coca-Cola, Disney, Wells Fargo, BMW, et cetera, et cetera. And while I was coaching, or excuse me, while I was working in that consulting / advisory role, inevitably those conversations would move from digital transformation and looking at the peer-to-peer space and where are the opportunities working with startups for these large companies to say, hey, look at Uber, look at Airbnb, look at all these companies. Where can you find opportunities to partner, to acquire, or to disrupt yourselves? And those conversations went from digital transformation to my life's tough. It's really hard right now. I'm, burning the candle on both ends. I come up with a great innovative idea within a large company like that, and I'm threatening an entire organization. People have a bullseye on my back because they hate me because I might cause them to lose their job. Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I started to see patterns in their lives amongst a story from my background where I had failed in starting my first business and took on a lot of pressure. And under that pressure, I fell into addictive behavior. And in short order, I went from alcohol to porn to sleeping around to blowing up my marriage, losing the business, and losing my sense of self. And from that, I learned about psychology and my own narcissism and selfishness, my inability to trust people or to delegate. So now, flash forward, I'm in this innovation association, and these executives are sharing this stuff with me, and I'm seeing those patterns in their lives. And one day, one of those executives said, Angus, you'd make a great coach. And as we were saying before we started this call, I said, I don't know what that thanks, I think. And I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
Right. And that took me down the road of exploring what is coaching. And I realized, oh my gosh, I really align with this. It's super rewarding. And so in 2016, I took on my first client, and I've been coaching ever since.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, your past and the raw nature of that, because I know we all at some point in our lives deal with those types of things. And I think it's important to know that there's outlets and there's people that can help you through those things. And it's obviously amazing when you have people like you that are willing to share your story and, help people understand that there's an outlet there and there's people that can help. And so,
well, I'll also tell you this, if I can just interject, is like, we have to understand that everything in our life is preparing us. Every challenge, every wall, every failure. If you see it from the context that there's a lesson to be learned in this moment, you never lose. Because every time one of these things happen, it becomes a lesson. And the key is learn the freaking lesson.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go there again, And suddenly it can
So true.
empower you. And instead of looking back with regret or shame or pain, you get to this place like, I was a bozo. I once was. I used to. That's the person I once experienced. However, that does not dictate who I am today.
Yeah.
I get to choose.
Powerful.
I get to grow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you use the term empower you, and I think that's so true with that, and resonates a lot, where we don't grow in times in easy times, let's say. We grow when we're challenged, we grow when things aren't going the best, but we have to be able to, remind ourselves that tomorrow will come, this will pass. And to your point, how can I learn and grow through this experience so that I get better and I learn more? And
Yeah.
that could be a business failing, that could be losing a client, it could be, personally, things in your personal life, and all of those things that lead us down that, a rough path for a while. It's understanding that you do the right things, you do the activity, and you learn, it will pass. You will get better.
Yeah.
That's powerful. So one of the things that we were talking about before that I think resonates with a lot of the people on the show as well is the power of a coach. And I'm going to shift this a little bit though to one of the, we were applying it to how in the insurance and risk management industry, we can, I won't say we can act as a coach or an advisor to our clients. And you were talking about all of the benefits that ultimately provides, from not only the benefits to your clients and the relationship, and you use the word culture that you drive, but also from a personal perspective in growing a book of business or a business that creates wealth, creates freedom, creates all the things that you want in your life. And so I wanted to dive down that path because there is a ton of correlation to a lot of the things we talk about on the show. So walk through maybe what it means to you as you think about being a coach from that perspective to a client, to a business. What does that look like? What does that mean when we say that to you?
At the end of the day, all coaching, advisory, consulting, et cetera, is leadership. You're leading people down a path to take actions, make decisions that they otherwise were unprepared or unwilling to make for themselves. And so when you, especially from a sales perspective, sales is a key component. So many people think of sales in a slimy way, like sales is like weird and awkward, but actually it's beautiful because you're helping someone make a decision for something. And obviously if you're ethical, if you're a scumbag selling something that doesn't work or is broken, that's on you, right? But we're saying from an ethical standpoint, and especially as someone who is an insurance agent, you're helping prepare this family or this individual to be better prepared or better positioned in case something should go sideways. In that case, your role is to lead them. And you're leading someone into making a decision to protect for their family or to protect, for their best interest. And if you're, again, doing it from a place of being ethical, being, straight up, it's like, how do I help them make the best decision for them? I don't need to oversell them. I don't need to go for the top premium if they don't need it. What do they actually need and how can I serve them best? And then let me bridge them to taking that step in a way that they feel safe, seen, heard, understood, and now we can transact.
Yeah.
They can make the transaction when they feel that.
Say that last part one more time. They feel safe, heard, understood.
Seen, heard, and understood.
Seen, heard, understood. Yeah, I think that was a good way to put something behind that we can all think about. Like, is our client feeling like we understand them? Do they feel like we see and know what their business is going through? Those are all things that lead into like deep client relationships, that if we're just selling a product and walking away, we don't have the opportunity to do everything that you just mentioned, which leads to longer term and engaged clients. And so walk through, I guess, let's get more tactical with it, right? Because you do this every day. If you're sitting in that insurance producer's shoes, what are some of the things that you're trying to do with your client to deepen that relationship, but then put yourself more in that coach or advisory position versus just a vendor or a salesperson position. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to just underscore the word safety. And it's a great word when we're talking about risk, because that's what that all of insurance is based off of risk mitigation, right? So safety is a core. I need to feel safe talking to an insurance agent. I need to feel safe that you're the kind of insurance agent who's going to got my back when something goes sideways.
Yeah.
I need to feel safe to work with you because, and this is my personal thing, I had a flood. I've had a pool collapse, a 33-foot above ground pool that collapsed and took out a bunch of. At no time did insurance ever cover either of those two pieces because of water damage and because it's not covered under home insurance, whatever. I was freaking pissed.
Yeah.
Because nobody told me of the implications. So I wasn't informed. So now my level of trust for that particular brand, which I won't mention right now, was done.
Yeah.
I'm never working with you again.
Yep.
Because you didn't inform me on the front end. Looking and knowing everything about my property, you didn't give me either an umbrella, offer like, hey, let's put it. Of which, side note, we did have an umbrella, and it covered our deck and it covered our pool house, but for whatever reason, they didn't cover the pool. So just crazy stuff like this, where as a consumer, I thought I was in a safe place, but my agent didn't think for me to help me make a decision that was best for me. And so these are these realms of safety that we have to see as an insurance agent, is to like be able to see before and help them feel safe, because you're thinking of things they otherwise wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
Right. Number two is you have to think from a place of generosity and abundance, meaning sometimes in sales, especially if you haven't had a yes for a while, or you're struggling, you get sales breath, you get desperate, you get into that pinch, or maybe you're in a place where everything was cool and copacetic until a couple people canceled their policies, and now you got to build the bank up again. And in that context of safety, people won't feel safe if in that moment they feel your desperation. If you're trying to tie them down and you're using different tactics to get the close, that's never going to work in an environment that's going to have lifetime value. You might get the sale, but at some point they're going to get wonky on you because they're like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And now you're operating with a different kind of energy.
Yeah, it was a short-term tactic that got them to say yes, but you didn't do the work to get the long-term. And I didn't mean to interrupt you on the energy part, because I like where you're going with this, but.
Because all of it's seed planting, right? Yeah. You're planting seeds so that you are cultivating a harvest. And if you think of insurance from the way that is like, if it's done right, I should sign up. I'm good, I'm covered. And at the end of my policy, you should already have preemptively connected with me, again, to make me feel safe, again, to alert me, hey, it's coming to the end of the policy and we want to talk about renewal. And with that, here's some things I'd like to offer. Like, is there some perspective about what's changed? Are there some new discounts? Are there some new things I can pair it up with to get discounts? And, whatever. There's upsells, there's downsells, there's side sells, there's all that stuff. And then secondarily is like, how are you? How is your family? Hey, is Susie still in dance class? You told me she had a big recital. Like, are you actually giving a shit about your clients? Do you have documents that like track who their kids are, what their age is, some things about them from a personal side? Because most of the insurance people I've ever dealt with are the most inhuman creatures. All they wanted was the premium. And it wasn't until I found an insurance agent that I thought, hey, maybe I'll give them a shot. And they did exactly what I just described. Hey, your daughter's like, is she 9 now or is she 10? I'm like, oh,
Yep.
she's 9. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And is she still doing that hip hop thing that you, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I was kind of blown away. And it doesn't take much to stand out in this world
Oh,
of
isn't
just a
that the
little
truth?
care.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? And I this, you need to be genuine with this, right?
Mhm.
So we just refer to this as deepening your relationship with your client, and it has to come from a genuine place.
Mhm.
However, there are, you referenced a couple. There are some tactics you can use, some processes to put in place to make you better at that relationship, because you can't keep it all up here once you
Right.
grow to a certain size. So
Yeah.
we call them relationship notes.
Mhm.
Our goal, and we're disseminating this across the company, is in any conversation, we ideally want to learn something about the client as a person, not you have to do all the stuff about any new vehicles, any new this, whatever,
Mhm.
that dictate the actual insurance transaction, but trying to learn something new about that person as a person. Everything you mentioned about their kids, what they enjoy doing, are they going on trips, are they going to
Mhm.
Portugal, moving there, like
Mhm.
what? But the funny thing is, when you do that, it actually allows you to do your job better. Not only does it create a better relationship and feeling with the client, but you can now do your job much better, because you can tell them, hey, if you go to Portugal for a month, like, here's what we need to be thinking about.
Mhm.
um and so we're systematizing that across the company, which I would encourage everybody to try to do. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's just figure out where you can put these notes, and then you can create some templates on, hey, here's some good things to ask about and whatever. But um, that is so key to creating a different client relationship. But I think I'd be curious your perspective as somebody that's not in the industry. I think one of the
Mhm.
things that people run into is we provide a product that everybody has to buy to some degree, right? You have
Mhm.
to have auto insurance. If you're a business that has employees, you have to have work comp. The bank's making you buy property insurance.
Mhm.
And I think that creates a situation sometimes where um, we can have a variety of different clients, and we can have a lot of them, because it's just really easy when somebody comes to me to sell them the policy that they need.
Mhm.
Um, Versus getting very thoughtful about who you're targeting as a client,
Mhm.
and are those people you want to work with? Do you have the skill set to work with them? Do you know and understand other types of business that they do? Because you can't do this with 1,000 clients, right? You can't do everything you mentioned. And so how would you kind of encourage or think that through with somebody that's sitting in that seat saying, you know, sometimes they got to say no to a referral, or it's because it doesn't fit their type of
Mhm.
client. But ultimately, if they're holding true to everything that you've walked through, they have to know that they can't do that with too many clients. So what's your perspective around that?
Well, my pushback is this world of artificial intelligence systems and automation.
Mm,
Some of this stuff is easy. If
yeah.
you have 1,000 clients, there's automation you can create that automatically sends a note, that says, "Hey, happy birthday.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Congratulations on
One of
another
those
year
working
around to the
here.
sun.
Yeah.
We're happy to be doing life with you." Like that stuff's fucking easy.
Yeah.
Easy. And people are like, "Oh, it's too much work," or it costs too much. I'm like, if you did that for a family of 5, that they got a card, and you can even make it look like it's handwritten, but it's really printed by different
Mm,
companies. There's a company, I can't remember, I want to say it's Alice, I don't remember what it was, but you can send a $20 credit, and they can go onto the website, and on the website they can pick how they want to spend the $20,
hmm.
$50, hundred
Yeah.
bucks, whatever you want to do. And it would be just a gift that you give, for a holiday or something like that. And then they get to choose what they want. So that way you're not like, sending them your freaking insurance calendar that nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like the dumbest thing that you get from
Oh,
your insurance, like, here's our
the daily
Allstate thing, or
planner.
here's our
Yeah.
American thing, and this is blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't care. Like, that's about you and your brand. What about me? Make it
Yeah.
customized, make it personalized, right?
Oh,
So
totally.
that, and number two is, what's $50 for the year? If you spent $50 just to keep someone in this context where their kids got a birthday card, or you did something, or back to school, or I hope you have a great summer. Here's a $5, Starbucks card. Like the littlest things, you can automate this stuff. You can have virtual assistants, that can go in and have it all scheduled out for you. You can have your own assistant who can, like get the cards. There's so many different ways to just go that extra mile, because at the end of the day, this is shared destiny. If you see it from the perspective that we want to be in this for the long haul, then why wouldn't I show up? If I want to have a healthy marriage, I better freaking show up for my wife every once in a while with something unexpected.
Yeah.
Surprise and delight, baby.
That's
Hey,
right.
what are you doing right now? Throw your shoes on, throw a sweater. Come on, let's go. I'm taking you out for dessert. Where are we going? I found this cool place. I thought of you. It's got your favorite cheesecake and you've never had it before. And I figured tonight's the night. Let's go. Oh my gosh, we're going out for a cheesecake.
Yeah.
Like surprise and delight. The littlest bit of effort, even in this industry again, you have to think of it from the perspective of, if you are giving insurance for someone's home, for their car, cool. But what if you're giving it to someone's life? Policies around life should be the most like connected, human, intimate kind of connection.
Yeah.
And what if you went the little extra mile for a lifetime value for a life insurance? I signed up for life insurance. I haven't heard dick. Can I say that?
I'm
I
sure.
don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I haven't heard absolutely squat from this agency for like 8 years.
Yeah.
I did the little blood test.
Standard.
I did the thing. Nobody said squat. I'm like, I'm giving you my, $82 a month or whatever I'm paying. The least you could do is just send me a little note on my birthday. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't know what I signed. Maybe it was a 25-year. Let's just say it's a 25-year, thing. You're 24 more to go. Hope you're sticking around, something cheeky, something funny. I mean, that was a little morbid, but something, that
Well, I got you.
has some personality,
Oh, that's a great perspective, because it really takes thought. It takes being intentional, but it doesn't always take a ton of time or money in a lot of cases to, and I love those words, surprise and delight your clients.
Yeah.
Because again, it's easy to get into the trap of just what you mentioned, sell the policy and like, hey, we did a good job. They're set up and now we're going to move on to the next one.
Yeah. I'm going to get my monthly recurring revenue out of the thing I sold, but I'm not going to lift a finger to maintain that.
Yeah.
They're around for the next whatever. So here's where I want to go even deeper. Like, not only is this a shared destiny, if you see it from this perspective and you add value, you live in a different kind of energy, right? If you just take it for granted, then you start living a life of taking things for granted. You get into a place of scarcity.
Yeah.
And your life is in this place of take, take, take. If you want to live a life that you truly want, one that's fulfilling, one that, like, why do so many dentists commit suicide? Do you know that they're one of the highest suicide rates of things? Because all they do is they just put people in, spit them out, put them in, and they say things to you like, hey, how's about that Packer game? Like whatever, but they have no relationship because it's a machine, right?
Yeah.
And in that same way, you can become that same kind of stark, hollow individual. And then you're the insurance person that shows up at the bar mitzvah or at somebody's birthday party, and you start talking, and it's like, oh, so what are you doing? It's like, I'm insurance. And they go, oh, and they take a stand back.
Yeah.
Because they're like, they know they're going to get sold because you're a bloodthirsty some bitch.
100%.
Why do they think that?
Yeah.
Because you're a bloodthirsty some bitch, you asshole.
And they've trained that way.
You live a different way. You raise to a different standard. You have a higher expectation of yourself, that you show up with a place of love and abundance and generosity, and you don't try and just sink the hook. But now all of a sudden in this place that if you were creating a life you want, People actually want to hang around you.
Yeah.
If you start seeing the world as a place of like, where can I bring meaning and contribution? Where can I get intentional to change how I think, how I believe, how I act? Like most of my work that I do with clients is all built around identity. I've
Mm.
got clients who run $100 million, health tech companies or health IT. I've got, clients who are doing, just barely figures. And between all of it is the same thing. What's between your ears?
Yep.
And the quality and caliber of your life is built around how you see you. Because whatever that is, it's the programming of your operating system, like as if you're like a supercomputer.
Mm-hmm.
The brain will be that little computer that goes, and it will like seek to validate the belief system that you have. So it will create or attract experiences, relationships, or opportunities that match how you believe about you. And so if you are in that place of scarcity, if you are in that place of fear, if you are in that place where things aren't going the way you want them to, you will start to create or attract more of the same. And so you have to be intentional to change your inputs.
Yeah.
What are you listening to? What are the stories you're telling yourself? Are you actually getting rejected because you didn't position the offer correctly? Or are you getting rejected because something about you was rejectable?
Mm.
You came off with a weird
Yeah.
energy. You were offensive in some sort of way. You came off with that neediness.
You're not
You came
passionate
off,
about what you're doing. Or,
you
yeah.
didn't care,
Yeah.
right? You weren't human. Like if you start to get really like deep into this, you start to understand like my being is what I'm creating. And if I want to change what I'm creating, then I have to change who I'm being.
Mm. And being
And if
intentional.
the exactly, and the more you elevate the energy of who you are, the more you'll elevate the energy of the clients you attract.
Ah, powerful. That's powerful. In that same vein, then, because I want to make sure we get to this, which I'm excited about, but um you have written a book on essentially this topic, or it's coming out next year, and I want you to talk a little bit about how you got to that point. I mean, I think
Isn't that
it's,
funny that next year's like in 3 weeks, by the way?
yeah, I mean, it's wild. I said that and I'm like, oh, that's like less than a month away. uh so very soon,
Yeah. Yeah.
the book will be released, but we've talked about it, the concept behind what you're writing, and I'm excited to read it just from the standpoint that we all deal with everything you just walked through, and deal with that in our mind, and imposter syndrome, and I think relating it to specifically insurance producers and whatnot in our industry, a lot of them will end up working on, say, smaller business or things that are simpler because they're comfortable there, right? They don't they don't move upstream to maybe more complex businesses or things like that because they're nervous about being able to operate in that arena or whatnot. And really at the end of the day, they have all the capabilities, they have all the skill set, they know how to do it. It's just something up here, something in their head that's telling them they can't. So talk through the background of the book, and then give everybody a little glimpse into what they could expect next year.
Yeah. The book is called Confidence Comes Later, because nobody does anything with confidence. Yet we all use it as the excuse while we won't do the thing.
uh,
The whole premise of the
Spot
book
on.
is that confidence only lives in the past. You can only be confident about things that have already happened, things you've experienced, things you've done. That builds your whatever, your credibility, your belief in you, like, or whatever. Like that's a past tense thing. Whatever you're going to do next, and I don't care if you are Richard Branson, Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, the next step forward is something new, different, and strange.
Mm-hmm.
And all you need is the courage in you. And so now the confidence is not about the thing. The confidence is not about the activity. The confidence isn't about the action. The confidence comes about me. Do I believe in me? And all of risk and insurance, and this is so appropriate, risk is based on uncertainty, right? And the byline of the book is called Confidence Comes Later, How the Quest for Certainty Holds Us Back. Because there's something in us that wants to be certain that my next step is the right step. And so we will find ourselves, if we don't believe in ourselves, doing everything we can to procrastinate, to overstudy, overanalyze, or find excuse so as not to do the dream in our heart. We don't want to be the tall poppy that gets chopped down because somebody in the city thinks we think we're more than that. Oh, who do you think you are? Yeah. We don't want to step onto the next thing because what if I fall on my face? I don't want to step on the thing like, what if I fail? I don't want to step on the thing because what will other people think of me? What a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah.
Here's the most powerful premise in the book. I call it the nothingness principle. Nothing to gain, nothing to lose, and nothing to prove. It's the most powerful person in any room.
Yeah, it is.
Because when you stand in that energy, people feel that. You're not name dropping. You're not trying to tell a bigger story than what they told. You're not trying to swagger. You just be. And in that, people feel safe. They feel seen. They feel understood. And everyone wants to hang around the person in that nothing quotient. That nothingness quotient is everything. And if you see that and feel that and be that, then whatever's in your heart, the dream that God gave you, the dream that the universe is whispering to you in the night, the intuition that's in you that's bubbling over like, I wish I could do this. I so badly want to do this. You might actually take an action. That action will open up the universe to co-create with you to show you the next step and then the next step. And before you know it, you're in this place that's exceedingly abundantly above anything you could have asked, dreamed, or imagined.
Yeah.
But most people are operating in fear and less than. And the whole heartbeat behind Evolve Leadership, behind my life and behind this book is I want to set people free. We're in a day and an age where there is so much uncertainty, whether you're looking at world wars, if you're looking at the economy, you're looking like Bitcoin just crossed a six-figure mark while everybody else is saying, well, the economy's going to crash. Like, what kind of dichotomy are we in? Well, this person's going to go to war. Like the politics have never been more polarized across all these different countries around the world. There's so much uncertainty. The rich are getting richer. The poor are getting poorer. What's happening to the middle class? News. Agitate. Social media, argue. And we are so distracted by our pain and our feeling of insufficiency and inequality and insecurity that we can't be who we can actually be. We will not give ourselves permission to step into our own power. And what if you did?
What if you did? And I think that's a phenomenal question. I think that probably resonates with a lot of the people listening. And the answer to this could totally be wait for and read the book. But creating that or creating the mentality and the type of person that can live in that nothingness quotient, which I love that concept. What are some of the ways that people can build themselves into that type of person? Because I think there's probably a lot of people listening going, I agree with that. I think that's awesome, but I have no idea how to do that, how to get there. So what would you tell those folks that are living in that kind of thought process right now?
So what I've observed, and this last decade, again, working with so many different variants of people, it's all built around stories. And in our past, we've had different things happen to us. Some are, more traumatic than others. Some things are as small as, and I'm not saying small as in it's unimportant. I'm just saying it's just, a lesser quotient, where perhaps a teacher said something to you about some assignment you turned in. And they said, why do you even do this? You're never going to amount to anything. And that seed has just ruminated in your head over and over and over again until it becomes a reality. Maybe I will never amount to anything. Or maybe it's deeper than that, or it's something that your parents said to you. You suck. I never wanted to have you. Like, why aren't you more like your brother or your sister? And these create stories. Or there's different things where you didn't get picked for this team, or you didn't get picked for that college, or whatever. Maybe you were going to do something and you got injured, or you got sidelined, or you got sick, and you're like, see, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. I don't have what it takes. And those are the stories that now get embedded into that operating system we were talking about before. The power of this is, again, it's just a story. So what if instead you told yourself a new story? What if instead you took that reality of what happened and reframe it? What did that teach me?
Yeah.
How am I more resilient? How can I be more fearless? How can I realize I went, like for me, in my story that I shared, at the beginning of the show, nobody can take that story from me anymore. Nobody can say, oh, see, you did this and you're just a slime ball and you were a cheater and whatever. Like, yeah, I was that guy. No doubt. I used to do those things, but that's not who I am anymore. And now you step into this place of extreme ownership of maybe the things that you did to yourself.
Yeah.
And forgive yourself and give yourself self-love, self-grace, right? All of this is based on one principle, and it's called permission. Will you give yourself permission to forgive? Give yourself permission to let go. Give yourself permission to be more than what you've already experienced. And then secondarily, looking forward, give yourself permission to step into your power, permission to step into your dreams, permission to step into whatever the thing is that's standing before you. And if you happen to be in a difficult season, or you're facing fear, or you're facing a challenge, I would tell you, whatever that is, that's what we call resistance, meaning it's a graduation. When difficulty comes, it's giving you the opportunity to flex a new muscle, to operate at a higher level and a higher energy, to make decisions you weren't making before, to make steps that you weren't, to pivot, to change, to grow. And no longer do you let the old stories drive it. It's like, see, what was I even thinking? I should have never even tried. Why did I put myself out there? I should have listened to my dad. I should have listened to that baseball coach. One of my favorite stories is in 5th grade. I was playing the violin, but it's the viola, which is a type of violin. And and I got done with the year, and he said, Nelson, you should quit. You'd be doing both of us a favor. You're not wasting my time or yours. And I've never forgotten that. I'm like, wow. And for a long time, that cut me deep until I realized, hey, that was his thing, not me.
Yep.
He was bent and out of sorts or whatever. And again, I say all this to say, when you see that you actually have the power to choose something different, you can.
Yep.
Permission.
That's amazing. You can. Well, we could probably keep going on forever. And I think this is just such a phenomenal topic, and everything you're doing is just amazing work. And so how can folks connect with you, follow you, learn more about you, be in the loop on when the book launches? How can they get in touch with you?
The best place to get in touch with me, probably LinkedIn. Come and find me. I'm Angus Nelson on all the things, our podcast, our stuff is on YouTube and on all the podcast networks at Evolve Leadership. You can find us at evolveleadership.com, angusnelson.com, like all that stuff is out there. But I would tell you, if you want to know about the book, shoot me a note on Instagram or LinkedIn, either one. Just send me a DM and just put Elliot. Let me know you're on this show, and then I'm going to put you on the mailing list for the book and let you know when you can know about the announcements and the pre-release and all the bonuses and blah, blah, blah. There's going to be stuff that we're going to ramp up to get this book in as many people's hands as possible. And at the end of the day, like I said, my hope is transformation. I want to see people give themselves permission to step into their power and make their dreams come true.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I would encourage everybody to do that, because you want to be on that list that is going to get a lot of cool things that other people not on the list aren't going to get. But I'll let you experience that. Well, thank you, Angus. This is amazing. I would encourage everybody to connect with you. Everything you're doing is just awesome work. And I know that it would impact people that get just at some level engaged with you. So appreciate the time coming to us from Portugal. I don't know what time it is there, but I'm sure it's
4 p.m. It's morning time for
okay.
you, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. And it's 10 a.m. here. So
that's awesome.
Great, man. Well, I appreciate it, and look forward to talking soon.
Thanks, Elliot. Appreciate you having me on the show.